Well, Darren, everyone around here seems to have a spring in their step at the moment after this resurgent few weeks.
The clouds are parted, the sun's out, the birds are singing, so everyone's in a good place. It's very nice. It's refreshing to see. It's what I thought it would be, and it's certainly relieved a bit of pressure that was on at the time, and has allowed us to, I suppose, flourish would be the right way to put it, and it's amazing, really, football, words like momentum, confidence, things like that, and you go into games and you just feel like you can win games and compete and be the team you set out to be. So, yeah, in a good place.
You'll be delighted, but probably not surprised, because you said to us when you appointed Dave Robertson that don't underestimate him.
No. Dave's been with us a long time. He's a club man, and you can use that as a cliche too much sometimes, but he's the type of guy. He kind of epitomises what our club's about when we recruit players. It's ambition over greed. Dave Robertson could have gone to many a Premier League club to run their youth academies and has been offered jobs on twice the money to go and do that in the last 4 or 5 years. And not once has he ever come to me to ask to go. I've heard about those moves via other channels, and he's so happy here and what he does and the job he's done. And anyone who runs a youth setup, they have to look at it as it's a long-term gig. You can't come in and do a year or two and move on, because you're committing time and investing time into young people who are 13, 12, 14, 15, and you've got to see it through, so to speak. And he's that type of character. He's just very loyal, he's very honest, he's very dedicated. It's why the players are reacting so well to him, because he is who he is. He's a man's man, and I think the players are coming into work every day now with a smile on their face and enjoying what they're doing, and are now seeing what we all saw when we put the squad together, that they can compete in this league and beat anyone in this league.
3 wins on the bounce, on the cusp of the playoff places.
Of course.
Any discussions taken place about Dave having the job on a longer term basis?
I've spent a lot of time with himself, with Aaron and with Grant the last few days, watching them work, been in team meetings. Watched the under-21 game yesterday, which was a real buzz, really enjoyed that. And we've talked about, from now to the end of the season, we've talked about next season, we've had budget meetings, and here's the quite honest truth. I haven't had to, originally when I planned to come over 2 weeks after the previous staff all left, it was planning I would use this week to go through the 200 applicants, to make a short list, to see some people this week, and I haven't even opened up the folder, and I haven't made a call to see anyone or meet anyone, and I don't really intend to either, because I'm in a position where, why would I? The 3 lads who are now in charge with the rest of the management staff are doing a great job, and I don't want to put too much pressure on them. I don't think they deserve that. I think I have to allow them to do their thing and enjoy getting on with their thing, and they know where I am and where I am as regards to their own position, and they're just taking it. It's not really a game at a time. It's right, look, we've got X amount of games left, just get on with it and keep revitalising and reinvigorating and keep people happy, and winning makes everyone happy, so that's where we need to be. But as of right now, the management thing isn't really become an issue or a topic of conversation.
So it's kind of not putting a label on where they are or their situation, and that will help them with it in terms of taking the pressure off?
I think it's really important, because what we've been is very inconsistent the last 18 months as a club, with our results, with our performances, with our crowds, with everything. Everything's been inconsistent, and it's been up, it's been down, it's been this, and right now I want everyone with their foot on the pedal, full steam ahead. And I don't want anyone taking their foot off the pedal. And, it's one of them things where, well, if you come out and go, they've got the job for the next 3.5 years, do people take their foot off the pedal? So the players know that if they want this management team in place long term, I'm not talking about till the rest of the season, keep winning, keep impressing, keep performing, keep fighting, show me what you've shown in the last 3 games. Because 3 games don't make a season. But where we are and where we've come back from after the last few games, and where everyone's fear factor was going, fans-wise and everything else, we're in a great place. And we just have to keep that going. And I've always said, winning's great. It's not always about winning for me. It's also about the fact what you see. I watched the Sheffield United game, and I sat there with a belief that we're playing great here and we're going to get something out of the game, even with 10 minutes to go. And the players could feel that, and the players played like that, and that's all I want to see. I want to see it when we play Doncaster. I don't want to go into games obsessed about the opposition. I want to go into games, with us focused on what we can do and our strengths, and that's what Peterborough United under me has always been all about what we can do. And we could always score more goals, but listen, at the end of the day, keep performing and executing like we're doing, and we'll be fine, we'll do great, and we'll have a great season, and we'll have a great next season. And Leighton Orient, people can say, well, it was windy, it was scrappy, it was this and that. Let me tell you, our players were dead on their feet in the second half because of the work they put in against Sheffield United, and they grafted. And let's be fair, if we'd had a week in between those 2 games, we probably would have won the Leighton Orient game 2-3-4-0. So I'm excited to see what the players do over the next few weeks.
And it's kind of throwing the ball into the players' courts, isn't it?
Sure.
I remember I read an interview with Paul Scally at Gillingham recently, and he consulted the players about who they would like and what kind of figure they'd like as an ex-manager. I guess what you're saying is tell me with your actions, because
Correct.
players will come out and say, well, we like this current manager. And of course they're going to say that, but it's how they play on the pitch.
I agree. You love coming to work now every day, and that's great, and that's fine. Let's be professional and show me, why you want these guys here for not for the next 11 games or the next 14 games, hopefully, but for the next 3-4 years. So I believe Dave is Dave. He's brilliant, and I believe with Grant and Aaron, people like that around them, they're guys who I've basically pushed into coaching and said to them, look, you guys can be managers in the future, not at Peterborough necessarily, because that's disrespectful to any manager that's here at the moment. I'm talking about in the Football League, because when you get to a certain stage in your career, like Aaron and Craig are getting to, you have to start thinking of plan B, and if you haven't made the big bucks like, say, the Boydies have in the Premier League, well, you have to have a career in football. You can't just be a pundit and sit there comfortably in the studio every week commentating on games. If you've got a real love and desire for football, get into coaching. People like Grant McCann and Aaron McLean, I think they've got massive things to offer the football industry. And I think for years to come, they could be some of the best young coaches and managers in the business. And that's what they're now starting to see, and they're loving it. I'm watching them at work's a pleasure. I'm looking at Aaron yesterday, going through the team tactics. I'm listening to Grant every day. And it's almost like watching your kids grow up to a certain extent and graduate from college. And I'm proud. I'm proud watching them in action, because I think they're great young men. And now they're going into that second half of their career, which could be even better than their playing career. So I think they've got lots to offer. And Dave is gluing that all together. They've got massive respect for him. There's no one at this football club who doesn't respect Dave Robertson. And there's no one at this football club who he wouldn't know their name. He's that type of individual. He makes everyone feel good about themselves. He's respectful to everyone, whether it's the groundsman, whether it's a steward, whether it's a ticket person, or whether it's our star player. Everyone's treated the same. That's what you're going to get with David Robertson. You're going to get that kind of honesty, and you're going to get that down-to-earthness. And he's wanted this for a long time. And we talk about young and hungry. He's got, so much hunger and desire to be a football manager and prove a lot of people wrong who used to be at the club, who maybe didn't rate him like he should have been rated. And it's fun to see him in action now.
You're dangling a big carrot in front of Dave Robertson.
Yeah, and I don't mean to, and I don't mean to play. I'm not playing mind games. I'm not dangling carrots. I'm not whatever else. What I'm saying to them is their job. They're running the football club, and I'm very comfortable with them running the football club. I'm very happy, and they know where I'm coming from, and they know that that's not going to change, and they keep doing what they're doing and carry on. It's only going to be good things for many years to come for them.
And it sounds like you're certainly not ruling out them taking over longer term if everything fits into place at the end of the season.
Absolutely. We're already talking longer term, and we're already making plans, and I like the way they plan. They're meticulous. We've already had conversations about next season. We were talking about players, we were talking about what's needed, we were talking about whether we're in the Championship, whether we're in League One. I'm happy and I'm comfortable, and I haven't been like that for a while. And it's great to be, because I've got a lot else going on in my life, and the football, I have to say, was dragging me. It was concerning me. It was, probably a bit like the players. I wasn't enjoying coming to work, so to speak, to talk about football, and probably a bit like some of our fans. And only good things can happen. And we've seen it with Bozzy signing a contract today. We've seen now 6 of our best young teenagers from the youth system now sign pro contracts and committed, and that's just brilliant for the future.
Yeah, that's massive for you as well, because it's something you've pushed time and time again, haven't you? And it's one of the reasons as well why I know Dave Robertson is so well thought of him. What he's done with that side
the job he's done. I mean, he took that youth thing and it was on its arse. Excuse my language. It was. He started from scratch, and you look at the players that have already come through, the Jermaine Andersons, the Joe Newells and the Cozzies. They've played a lot of games for the first team, and they deserve it. They're there in merit, and that's from Dave's hard work. We've now got a batch of kids, whether it be Dion, who every Premier League club in the country is looking at as a young goalkeeper. You got Johnny and Jack, who are scoring goals in the youth team. You've obviously got Leo, who's the 16-year-old we've kind of kept hidden because we couldn't even play him in games because Chelsea and other big clubs were trying to grab him until we had him signed up. We were trying to hide him, and we had him out in Spain, and the players were just amazed at this 16-year-old kid. So you then got obviously Toby as well, who's signed, who's come on great. And then obviously you've got Harry Anderson, who you watched yesterday, and I'm telling you yesterday, you saw him yesterday, tearing Wimbledon apart, and the players nickname him Desire for a reason. And this kid is 18, he's got everything. Now, when I say everything, and I can throw hot wind up him, I can praise them all, it means nothing if they don't go out and do it when they get their chance for the first team. And it's not just what they do on the pitch, it's how they represent the club off the pitch. That's the most important thing when I said it to them. You know, you have to represent the club in the right way. You can't be arrogant, you can't take this and get too big ahead. You've only just started. And players like that, and if Harry gets his chance, he won't let anyone down. This is a kid with, and lots of these kids who have great mentality, great personalities, great parents who've, you know, kept their feet on the ground, and that's going to be part of the journey. We're going to see over the next 2-3 years these players become great players for the first team, and that's just such a big thing for me. It's massive for the club. You know, players like Harry Anderson next year even, you know, forget about the next 14 odd games here. You know, you'd have to go out and spend a lot of money to go out and get a wide player like him next year, and we won't need to. He has got everything. I mean, he is, you know, you look at the John Taylors of the world and the Madisons, and then the competition and places we've got for width. Harry Anderson's already breathing down their neck for the Doncaster game. You know, goals, crosses, pace, excitement, dribbles. Our fans are going to love that. Wait till they get a load of Leo when he starts developing from 16 to 18 again. He gets into the first team squad next year, every club in the country. And I know fans have criticised me for overdoing it in some of our youth players, and they're right, probably I have sometimes, but I haven't got it wrong with this batch of players. They're only going to impress, and it's only going to get better and better. So very exciting.
Is the next test for the management team how they deal with adversity?
Correct.
Because 3 fantastic results and on the cusp of the playoffs, as we said, but inevitably the football world is up and down. There'll be a bad run at some point. Are you as a chairman now watching to see how they cope with that, how they deal with that, and how they react to that?
And exactly what I said to them over dinner last night. And you say bad runs. We as a club over the last 18 months, when we lose a game, we haven't bounced back properly. We've lost too many, and that's what, you know, bad runs are. Losing a game is not a bad run. That's just a blip. So you've got to bounce back. And I said to them last night 2 things. You've got to realise now that your managers and your coaches, in football there's 2 certainties. One certainty is you're going to lose games. The best in the world lose games. Second certainty, you're all going to get the sack at some stage in your career. Barry always tells me that. Anyone who becomes a football manager or a coach, guess what? You're getting the sack. And that's just an inevitability of the football club. People don't last for 20 years, you know. So they have to understand that side of it as well. I was talking to them over dinner last night about how you manage up as well. You know, I'm an easy chairman to work for as opposed to what people think and whatever I am. I'm good with staff, I'm good with managers, I'm very easy to deal with. Other clubs aren't. They've got, you know, different levels, whether it be directors, whether it be chairman or older people. And I'm going to teach these guys how you manage up, because I think it's a big part of the learning process, not just your coaching, your badges, but learning how to manage up. And that's things they're going to learn from me as well, you know, in the coming months and years ahead. So, yeah, but you're absolutely right. It's how you handle adversity is how you really are rated as a management team, and it's not just all about the winning and when everything's great in the garden and everything's rosy and tickety-boo. There are going to be periods where things aren't, and we've seen how we react to that, and we haven't reacted well enough to that over the last 18 months, and that's something we've got to now get rid of, move past and show that we can bounce back.
You mentioned you put the 200 applications to the side for the time being. You said initially after Darren when you had someone in mind that you didn't think you could get at the moment. Is that person still in mind, or have you firmly put that suggestion to one side as well after what you've seen from Dave and his team?
Yeah, that's been moved to the side, and I'm no longer interested, if I'm being honest, and that decision's been made by me, by the people that are here at the moment. So right now my only focus on supporting them and helping them do things as best they can, and I'll, you know, if I have to worry about the management side of Peterborough United, you know, that's something I hope doesn't have to happen.
You must be excited, having seen what the players are capable of over the last 3 games, about the prospect of next season and what's to come, because you've got a young squad here, a young batch, many of whom are still learning their trade at this level. Connor Washington being one.
Correct.
Harry Beautyman another. What can be achieved in the long term?
It's a great point, because we talked about patience at the start of the season. We've all lost patience. I lost patience. The fans lost patience. And you're right. We keep forgetting about the youth in the squad. You look at the last few wins and you look at the team and you go, well, Cozzy's 20, Santos is 19, Jack Payne is 22, even Bozzy I think is only 26. Out on the right was John Taylor, who was 22. Out on the left was Joe Newell, who was 21, and then up front was Connor at 22 and Luke at 20. So I think there's like 6 or 7 under the age of 22 in the squad, and they will only get better with age. You've then got the squad itself and other players who are younger, so you know they can only get better. Harry Beautyman's another. He spent 5 minutes in the pro game with us. You know, you watched him yesterday, magnificent in the reserve game, the under 21 game. Luke James, I'm talking to Luke, and again I have to remind myself he's just gone from 19 to 20. Marcus Madison's just turned 21. You then ask the question as well. John Taylor I think's only played 16 games out of a possible 35. If JT had been available for all 35 games like in the past, you had your Boydies and your Whelpdales who played 35, 40 games a season. If Marcus Maddison had been available for the whole season, regardless of what management staff are in charge, would we have a different points total? Would we be in a different position? So wherever this season takes is great, but you look at next year and think to yourself, all those players fully fit. We have a great new physio on board now, which is making a massive difference, and that was something we made a big mistake with, and he's doing wonderful things, getting them fit and keeping them out there. If we can keep the same squad fully fit throughout the season without all the stupid injuries we've had this year, and keep playing a strong 11 and strong spine to that 11 with partnerships, how good can they be? I don't know the answer to the question. I don't think we've seen anywhere near the best of them yet, and I think they will only get better.
When we first spoke to Dave after he was given the job on a temporary basis and asked him about new signings and that kind of thing, he said, really, I'm not in a position to answer that at the moment. It's best to speak to the chairman. Now, with you being comfortable about the job set up at the minute, will he now take charge of recruitment and that kind of thing, looking ahead to bringing players in? We
were just in the war room this morning, I call it, talking about recruitments and players and what do we need before the window closes, and we've all worked over the weekend on targets. Me, Dave, the management staff, we've gone through video footage of the players we've identified. We've spoken to some of the players. There's no guarantees and no promises. We're trying to actively do some business. Some will come in, and maybe 1-2 might go out, you know, for experience in games and stuff. But we're actively working. Would they be heartbroken if we didn't bring anyone in? No. As long as everyone stays fit, we're okay with what we have. Our worry is we go into the latter part of the season and we get an injury in a position where we haven't got great cover, that might leave us short. So we're looking to address that, and that's a team effort. You know, nobody's getting signed without Dave, Barry, even the coaches agreeing to it. So we are working together on that.
And you mentioned Boswick's new contract. Last 3 games it's been like a one-man wrecking ball, hasn't it, the centre midfield? Almost like a new player.
Last 3 games he's the player we bought. So there's no great surprise. I spent nearly 750 grand buying one of the best central midfielders in the league. He got 12 goals in 40 games for Stevenage there. He got them to the playoffs. So, you know, Bozzy is he's got the ability to play a lot higher. We've said that to him, and he's got the ability to absolutely go out, seek, destroy, and score goals at this level. And there should be no one in this league that should be getting around Michael Boswick. So he's got that in him at the moment. He's got the bit between his teeth. He told me yesterday as opposed to recently, he's loving coming into work, and he's got a smile on his face, and he wants to be here. And funny enough, before he signed the contract, the one thing he asked was, you know, is Dave or is Robbo and Grant and Aaron going to be here next season? And that was something he wanted to know about, you know. So, you know, delighted he's signed and he's committed, because there were a lot of bigger clubs in Peterborough United who were going to nick him from us in the summer.
And have you rediscovered your love for this over the last few weeks? I'm not saying you completely fell out of love with it, but you said it's been a tough campaign so far and it's dragged you down. Have you got it back again now, that passion?
Yeah, I'm smiling a lot more about the football. I'm not worrying about football as much. I'm not obsessing about it as much, and I'm looking forward to games a lot more. So you can kind of say that, yeah, and I'm hoping now the fans do as well. We could really do it, seeing that I think we've got 5 home games left. It'd be great to get 7,000 plus crowds at those games and really drive us on now to the end of the season. We've come up with an idea of today. I've said to all the staff what I want to do here at the training ground. I want to have the open day instead of at the ground. I want to do it on the training ground. I want to put up bouncy castles. I want a petting zoo out there. I want a whole family day here. I want to see thousands of people come on a Sunday, see us train. There's open trials. There's going to be food, drink. There's big tent set up for season ticket renewals. So we want to get the community involved, because you look at our away fans and whatever else, and what came from the MK Dons in recent games and at Doncaster this week, and I feel the fans are almost back on side with us now, and we need to capitalise on that. Not financially, I'm talking about to keep that momentum up of them coming to the last few. Home games are going to be critical, and we want to win them all, and the away support's critical. So, and then next season for season tickets, it's also important for the club. So it's all kind of hands to the pump and exciting.
And a big week coming up with Doncaster obviously on Saturday, sure. Preston on Tuesday. But you go into it, I'm not saying pressure off, but there isn't quite this tension around the place, if you like, to get the result.
There's no tension. People were all giving it the R word and worried about that. That never crossed my mind. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, we always knew with the squad we put together that it was a top 6 squad, and now we have to finish the season off and show people that it's a top 6 squad, and you know, we don't do the job or finish it this year, then we look at making it a top 2 squad next year with people improving. So we know what we're all about as a club. We're about promotions, and we're about playoffs, and we're about cup wins, and that's what we're about, and we're just trying to continue that tradition for the last 11, hopefully 14 games.